Hey friends, how are you guys? I am tired, but like, what's new? So, today is Sunday, but it won't be Sunday when you guys see this, so that was kind of pointless information, right? I was thinking about like what I wanted to tell you guys today, and I had like zero idea. Um, but then I was like, oh, I know. So, for those of you, I'm sorry, my hair gets very oily, like really quick. I don't know why, but you know how sisters, you know how they tell us, like, you should wash your hair once every 2 weeks? It doesn't work for me. I would show you up close how oily my hair is, but I'm not going to do that. For sake of, like, my dignity, I won't do that. But I have to wash my hair, like, once a week because my hair gets oily so quick. But anyways, you didn't ask for any of that information, but I gave it to you. So, for those of you that have been, impacted by this whole Auntie Rona when she came to visit, I truly, disclaimer, I want to preface everything I will say in this video with this. I'm not insensitive to that at all. You know, this is literally like uprooted, upinged, like the world as we know it. It's insane how quickly like everything just kind of snowballed and kind of lifted the veil, so to speak, on our unpreparedness. Really, I mean, how could we have been prepared for this? The last thing that even almost resembled this was like, forever ago. So it's showed us that we really weren't prepared for something like this. So many different systems weren't prepared for this, but also gave us kind of an opportunity to prepare on an individual and societal level. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, it definitely is here and there, but that's not what I want to talk about. Um, but yeah, I wanted to preface it with like, please don't think that I'm insensitive to the struggles or anything like that, because that's not what I will, be saying. But we need to talk. So, Auntie loves self checks, right? Like, I love to get down. I don't know. I look like a floating head in this sweater because it's really supposed to be off the shoulder, but I was at church today, so I was like, let me keep it holy. Holiness is right, mother. So I was like, I'll keep it holy and not do that. But I literally look like a floating head. That was my version of a floating head. Um, so if you are a believer, then the word is the ultimate authority in your life, the word of God, what God has said and everything. So, in the word, in the beginning was the word, and the word, let me stop because I get excited. So, Jesus said that men's hearts will fail them for fear. Ain't that crazy? Isn't that's the video? Like, that's enough. There's nothing else I need to say. That's insane. Jesus literally said men's hearts will fail them. They're failing them because of fear. In the secular world and in Christendom, fear is the number one thing, antagonist in our lives. Fear, right? You have a fear of heights that'll keep you from experiencing the world from different elevations. You have a fear of dying, it'll literally keep you from living. You have a fear of rejection, it'll keep you from experiencing great things. You have a fear of abandonment, it'll keep you from letting go of toxicity and those individuals that bring or inhabit it. You have a fear of, like fear is just not conducive to any environment that is progressive. Fear is not conducive to it's so debilitating. And a lot of times with fear is let me tell you this. One thing that I love about, and let me also say, like, please, when you watch this video, these videos are like, I need you to know that I do not now, nor have I ever claimed to be a preacher. I'm not a preacher. I'm just somebody who loves God and who has had to deal with things along the way, loving God according to the word. I'm not a theologian. I'm not a preacher. I'm not anything like that. So I'm not coming to you as that. This is just like a candid conversation between Auntie and her people. But a lot of times with fear is when you deal with fear, it'll come up as one thing, but at the root of it. So when you look at a tree, or you look at a plant, right? You can go to a garden and there'll be all types of different plants. But at the end of the day, most of them started as, all of them, unless there's some I don't know, they all started as the same thing. It's a seed, right? There's different ways to, some plants you don't put directly in the ground, some plants you do, some plants you have your annuals, perennials, and everything in between. I don't know, sis. I don't know everything about gardening. You got to ask Martha Stewart. But, you have all these things. But at the end of the day, it all starts from the same thing, and it's a seed. So it's been helpful for me when I think of fear the same way. Yeah, I may have a fear of rejection, and I may have a fear of success or failure. I may have this fear, that fear, and the other fear. But at the end of the day, it's fear. And so, at the end of the day, it's fear. So what'll happen is the fear will start as one thing. It may start as a fear of abandonment, but if you deal with that, it could pop up again as a fear of intimacy. You deal with that, it may pop up again as like a fear of whatever. Because at the end of the day, you have not dealt with the fear. You've dealt with the emotions that accompany this fear of X, Y, and Z. So while addressing that fear of XYZ head on has helped you grow as a person and learn things about yourself and how to do certain things and how to conduct yourself in certain ways, you didn't deal with the fear. You dealt with the emotions and what it showed you about you, but you didn't address the fear, right? When Jesus, or it's called a theophany if I'm not mistaken, but anytime Jesus appeared or an angel appeared in the Bible to someone unexpectedly, which is it ever expected? I'm gonna tell you right now, if Jesus showed up in my bedroom while I was asleep, he go, Lord, you gotta chill. You can't just be popping up like that. I was asleep. I got my bonnet on, my edges. Well, it's halfway on, because y'all know at nighttime your bonnet and your scarf be doing whatever it want to do. And the Lord, you can't be popping up. Let me shut up, because I do not. Lord, you can come visit me. God, why am I like this? But Jesus would always say, fear not. His whole everything was fear not. Don't be dismayed. Fear not, for I am with you. I'm with you. The angels, when they would visit sometimes, it's fear not. So it's address that spirit of fear, because that spirit of fear, that fear will prevent, it's like a screen door, right? So if Jesus were to come and visit you, it's possible because of who you are, not because of who Jesus is, but because of who you are. He shows up and doesn't rebuke that spirit of fear. He shows up and you're just struck with fear and shock. And he's telling you all the mysteries and everything you've ever prayed for, and this, that, and the other. You literally cannot hear him, can barely see him, because your heart is about to give out. You are about to give up the ghost because you are terrified. That's what happens in our lives. A lot of times I've seen it. It's happened to me, and I've seen it in other people's lives. Is that spirit of fear is allowed to fester, just make a home, just dwell there, right? And we'll spend so much time trying to what? Hello? We'll spend so much time trying to figure it out. Oh, let's diagnose it and dissect it piece by piece, and define it and see how it reacts to this and this. No, that's not. You rebuke it and don't allow it to come back. This, we don't. We can be very cerebral in our thinking with a lot of things that don't need to be. You don't need to think this out. You need to rebuke the spirit and let it go, and make sure it doesn't come back. That's it. It's now the emotions that came with it, or that it revealed. Yeah, you need to deal with those. But are you sitting here trying to think tank the spirit of fear? No, that's not what you do. But yeah, with that fear, it can inhibit you from moving forward and also from seeing the bigger picture. Fear is like tunnel vision, right? So you can see head on, and it's like it has you in this like box. You can only see this. Meanwhile, you're not seeing all this. One of my favorite stories in the Bible was when I mean, not even just that story. Now that I'm thinking, but for fear, for lack of a better word, you know what? I would be remiss if I got this story wrong. So I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to embarrass myself. But I will say that there has been many times in the Bible where God has had to comfort before he showed his hand, or showed himself strong, be it for the Israelites or Moses, or the disciples, or whatever the case may be. So you can't be comforted if you're in fear. So I said all that to say, right? So how does that apply to us like today? So I don't know if like any of you guys have ever dealt with anxiety, or panic, anxiety attacks. That is like one of the scariest things ever. Everybody's anxiety is different, but anxiety itself has been defined. The symptoms, while you may deal with it one way and this person deals with it affects them another, the symptoms are still the symptoms. Does that make sense? I'm asking you guys, like, you can respond. I'm definitely recording a video. But so like a panic attacks is just like one of the, I'll say for me, when I used to deal with anxiety. On another day I'll tell you guys about that, my mental health journey with the Lord. You would not believe what auntie has how the Lord is just, I don't even know what to say, but it's like, so you start panicking, and then you start panicking because you can't breathe, and then panicking because you can't breathe, you're out of control, and you're panicking, and it like literally feels like the world is caving in on you. The weight of the world, like literally the world is imploding, and it's all of the mass is on and in you. It's so scary. It's the scariest thing. But that's what's happening to a lot of people during this time, is everybody's freaking out. The only thing that they're watching is the news. And don't get me wrong, it's good to stay informed. First of all, stop watching CNN. Watch Fox. Stop watching CNN. No, if you want to watch CNN, watch it. But you have to, when you watch the news, you have to understand that it's all, everything that they say, everything that they do is deliberate. I'm not going to say anything else, but just know that they're very deliberate and very intentional about their words. You have to, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to shut up. But, so we have this pandemic, we have this virus that's going around, and it's being marketed to us as this incurable virus that's going to kill you if you get it, and it's from the Chinese, and the Chinese people are bad, and they bring all the diseases, and Trump doesn't know what he's doing, because if he knew what he was doing, he would have got ahead of this, and the governor is Big Gretch. We got her buffs, like it's just all this all this mess. But the scariest part is the way that the virus itself was marketed to us was this thing that if you get it, you'll die. If you get it, we are like spoon fed these images of people in hospitals dying and doctors. And let me, again, I'm not trying to downplay the virus itself. There are people that have lost their lives because of this. And there are also people that are on the front lines risking their lives every day for us. And that, to say it's commendable is an understatement. But people are making themselves sick, literally losing their minds over something that that might not ever affect them. So I just wanted to say this to you guys. If you get the virus, you can be healed of the virus. If you get it, there's also a chance that you might not ever know that you've contracted it. If you get it and you are symptomatic, there is a very high chance that you will recover and be fine. If you get it and you have to go to the hospital, there's still a good chance that you will make it out of recovery and be back home. But I'm going to tell you something, sitting at home, bathing in fear, like drowning in fear, that's not going to do anything but make you sick and exacerbate whatever underlying conditions you may or may not have. Stop. There's no need to be fearful. When I was little, I used to be so scared of flying. And my mom and I, we would travel internationally, and then I would travel, with her internationally. That was what scared me the most, because it, like, for 10, 12 hours we were just over water. And I remember telling her I was afraid of flying, and she said, well, there's no need to be afraid, because if the plane crashes, you'll die anyway. And I said, oh, okay. And it was like, but then I was like, I mean, you're right, shoot. If this plane goes down, I ain't nothing to be afraid of. I'm going to be with the Lord. So I'm not saying, adapt that mentality of, well, nothing matters, and if I die, I'll be with the God. I mean, yeah, if you are saved, when you die, you'll get to see those pearly gates. But let me say, because I just opened myself up to all type of doctrine debates. But anyways, I said all that to say, y'all know that's my favorite thing to say. I said all that to say that this is the point. You can't live in fear. You can't live in fear now during this virus. You can't live in fear in your regular life, professional, personal, romantic, French. If you live in fear, you will not accomplish anything. And at the end of your life, you will be very sad that you allowed something as intangible and curable as fear to stop you from getting all that you desire and all that's yours. So I really, really hope that if you are somebody who dwells in fear, that you change that. You change your mind about it. And if you want to, but you don't know how, pray about it. Read the word, and see what Jesus has to say about it. Because a lot of times you'll find that a lot of the things that we're afraid of, Jesus has already addressed. And then once you build a relationship with him, you'll realize, I hope you guys didn't just hear me burp, you'll realize that things that he didn't necessarily address explicitly, you gain through relationship with him. So you're lacking nothing. And so there's nothing to be afraid of. No persecution, angels, demons, height, depth, width, friends coming, going, relationship, status, nothing. There's nothing to be afraid of. You'd be cautious, sure. You'd be wise, sure. But fearful, never. So that's all I wanted to say, nieces and nephews. This was a long one. I'm so sorry. But if you stuck through the end, you probably started to look at my edges and wonder why they look like that. The truth is, I don't have an answer for you, but I love you anyways. Okay, have a good week. Bye.